In this episode, we are talking about 5 rules for injury prevention.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Coach Quip. I'm Coach Robyn.
I'm Coach Chris.
And this is episode 197. We're almost at 200.
So close.
We don't know what we're doing for 200, but it's going to be good.
Research shows that over half of recreational runners will end up with injuries. Most of them happening in the lower leg. So thinking your knees, your calves, your ankles, Achilles, and your feet. But it doesn't have to be that way. Like, you don't have to get an injury to be considered a runner.
I do think a lot of times we just assume that that's part of the experience. But, I mean, there are definitely runners in my ecosystem that have never had an injury. A lot of them do some of the things that we're going to talk about today.
In this episode, we're going to talk about the 3 major factors in determining your risk of injury as a runner. And then we have 5 rules for injury prevention that we're going to go through to help you keep healthy and on your feet.
And also, 90% of you runners aren't doing the second one. I bet you can guess what it is.
I bet they can't guess. I think it was actually kind of surprising, I think. Before we get there, let's talk about the 3 major factors in determining your risk of injury as a runner. So number 1 is the way you run. It's your form. We know that form is incredibly important, and if you are running multiple times a week with bad form, you are going to get injured.
Yep. I mean, we always say running is a single leg jumping exercise, right? That's it. And each time you land is with 2 to 3 times your body weight. So I did a 3-mile run today. That's 6,000 steps. So that's 3,000 single leg squats with 2 to 3 times my body weight. If my form is flawed, yeah, it's not if, it's when. Second is going to be your training. So whether you have inconsistent training or big jumps in your mileage, those things will absolutely cause injury. Your cardiopulmonary system, your heart and your lungs always adapts faster than your musculoskeletal system. So if you are like this with your training or like this, you will absolutely have an injury in your future. Also, a little plug on your training. If you don't have strength work in there or mobility in there, you're also amplifying those chances.
And number 3 is your shoes. So there are stability shoes, cushion shoes, there's racing shoes, there's carbon plated shoes, so many different types of shoes. But if you don't have the shoes that are right for you, you have a recipe for disaster.
And shoes also, they have a lifespan, right? Mm-hmm. So even a shoe that you love or loved, it's going to die at some point, and it will cause injury when that happens.
Well, fortunately, all of these 3 things are pretty straightforward to fix. First off is dialing in your form. So you can do this by getting a treadmill run analysis, which we do here at Edge, or you can do it by doing conscious check-ins on your form. Like, if you know that you are a low cadence runner, as an example, you can do cadence checks throughout your run so that you kind of work on improving that. These are things that, running form doesn't get fixed like that. It is something that takes time, but it's well worth putting in the effort to correct the little imbalances that you have so that you can continue to run healthy.
Honestly, this is where I would make a pretty big investment, especially if you're newer to running and you think your form is off, get a biomechanical analysis done earlier. Mm-hmm. Especially, it'll make you so much more body aware. The other thing with the check-ins too, if you're doing like a self check-in, I love a mile marker, right? This is the default that most wearables are going to buzz at you every time you hit a mile. When you hit that mile, do a form dial in, right? We'll get in a little bit of what those cues can be, but check your cadence or drive your elbows back, get your posture fixed. That is such a great the buzz is such a great time to do a 30-second check-in.
Yep. Number 2 is to train consistently. So not the up and down, not the skyrocketing your miles, but make your training consistent throughout your weeks and over time, and make it progressive, meaning building your mileage week on week, and then taking those cutback weeks as well to rest and recover, because
fitness is only actualized through the recovery phase, also why you have a taper.
Exactly.
One more note on that too, training consistently, looking at it holistically season on season. I'm doing my annual training plans for rest of year for my athletes right now, and they're like, oh wow, we're going a little bit more right now. I'm like, yeah, because you nailed 50 miles a week, so now we can go up to 54, 55 miles a week in the next season because you were really successful with that. Or if it burned them out, stay there. So, only increase about 10% season on season, or stay where you are, reduce if you struggled with it.
And then number 3 is to get fit for shoes from professionals and to rotate your shoes regularly. We've done full episodes on shoes. You can go back and check those out for more tips on how you can maximize your running shoes.
So we've covered the 3 biggest risk factors and how to fix them, but now the meat, the 5 rules for injury prevention. You're probably going to want to grab maybe your notes app or a pen and paper. First up, you saw this one coming, adding strength into your weekly schedule. I tell this story all the time. We polled our athletes, not that we have all marathoners, but it is our biggest event as a community, athletic community, and as an Edge community. When we increased our strength programming here at Edge, in that season, people recovered about 2 times a week. They went, though, from 1 to 2 strength sessions a week on average, and our PR rate went from 85 to 93%, and our injury rate reduced by about 25%. So it was the only variable that changed when we beefed up our strength programming. And by beef up to 30 to 45 minute classes, you can do this. We know that a strong body is our best defense against injury. It's also how you can lift milk jugs when you're 80 years old, which really should be your ultimate goal. I mean, if we're talking long term, that's success, right? We also know that injury usually happens when we have a weakness that requires other part of the body to overwork in order to stabilize, right? For example, your glutes and core muscles will stabilize the pelvis and legs, but if the glutes are weak, other muscles are going to take over more work, and oftentimes that's more than they can handle. So a lot of running injuries stem from weak areas like glutes. Again, going back to our kind of goal here at Edge, if you can do 2, ideally 3, especially if you're in your base phase or early phase, strength training sessions a week, it can really help bulletproof your body and set you up for a successful season.
Number 2 is to incorporate plyometrics. And this is the one that I think most runners are definitely not doing. We are running, which is a single leg jumping exercise, but in our training sessions, like our gym training sessions or our strength sessions, most people are not doing this, but there's huge benefits to injury prevention by using plyometrics.
And it doesn't take a ton.
No,
right?
Very little low dose to see value in this. So plyometrics are jumping exercises like lateral jumps, bounds, broad jumps, jumping squats, or jumping lunges. And they help increase the elasticity and help teach you to land softly, which is so huge for running.
Yeah.
Like all of those steps, if we are landing 6,000 times in 3 miles, with a thud, that just ripples up your body. So that soft landing, super important. And it is a low dose, like you said. So they say start really low, 1 set, 6 to 10 reps, and then you can build from there. But it's so good in helping your body adapt. This includes things like box jumps as well. So we do have a couple of classes that incorporate some of these, and you'll see them pop up every now and then. Again, this does not have to be every day, and it doesn't have to be a lot of reps, but it is super valuable to start to incorporate plyometrics in, because I know most of you are not doing them.
I also love a little plyometric moment for, drills and warm-ups and neuromuscular activation. Mm-hmm. So like wind runners, a lot of times we'll do double or single leg pogo sticks, even ice skaters. I know that we do it's not a perfect plyo, but like if you're standing in a circle before long runs and doing high knees and butt kicks and vertical jumps, those all add up and teach that soft landing. All right, that was the one that was 90% of you not doing it, right? So maybe we set aside a little time for that plyo and see how it goes.
But this one might be close to 90% too.
Yeah, that's true. Number 3, being consistent with mobility. I have incorporated a lot more mobility personally, but that's because I have an injury, right? And for me, if I don't do it, I'm in pain. So there's a good reason to do it. But if you can be consistent before you get to this stage, even better. Tissue mobility, we can't say enough about it, especially with running. We're moving in one plane and we run in a flat space. So we're really kind of tearing up our body and just with sheer forces. The stress recovery cycle is really what helps us improve, in our sports, and our muscles truly break down, right? And then we have to put them back together. But when they repair, we know that adhesions can form, we know that we can still have ongoing fatigue, and we know that mobility work helps us address those before they become bigger issues.
So this is things like foam rolling and intentional stretching, and I think that you're right. So you said you do mobility work now regularly because you have an injury, and I think a lot of runners don't incorporate this until they have an injury.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about injury prevention, starting this early in your running career, or right now, yesterday was the best day to start, but right now is the second best day, can really help you keep injuries away. Stretching can help break down those adhesions that you just mentioned and restore the full range of motion, which improves form. And if you think about this, like if you have tight hamstrings one day from doing my class, say a strength class, and you have tight hamstrings, you'll feel it when you are doing your strides, right? Or it might feel like you are running really compactly, really short strides.
You don't have extension,
because we're tight. So if you can feel that in your body, you know that it's having an impact on your running form, which, as we mentioned, is one of the key ways that people get injured. So we want to make sure that we have that full range of motion, and that includes using your foam rollers, your little lacrosse balls, finding the areas that are tight for you. This is so individual too. So I could foam roll my glutes every single day and still not get to a point where I feel good. And you might foam roll your glutes and not feel a thing, right? Like it's super individual. So you have to find the exercises and mobility moves that work for you, and then incorporate them in small doses.
I love the small daily doses. I have a full mobility routine. It's 20 minutes. I am not doing 20 minutes every single day. I know that. I mean, I'm just not going to. So I can do it in like a 5-minute chunk, and I do it when I'm listening to the news. It takes about 5 to 7 minutes to get this little recap on CNN. I can do whatever 6 exercises I can handle during those 5 minutes, and honestly that makes such a big difference.
So it's about finding the little ways that you can incorporate this throughout your day. It doesn't have to be like, there's more value to that, your 5-minute news mobility routine, than doing a 20-minute session on the weekend.
Because that's going to be 1 or 2 days that I actually get to the full thing, versus 5 to 7 minutes every single day. You do the math. It's way better to do the 5 to 7 minutes.
Exactly.
And I feel better throughout the week too, which is huge.
It's a win.
All right, number 4 is focus on running form. So we've talked about running form, running with good posture, your head over your shoulders, no arch in that upper back, forward leaning from your ankles, not from your waist, swinging your arms efficiently, having those elbows truly driving back, landing lightly, right? That soft landing that plyos teach us. Check out episode 105 for running form cues, but this is going to be a huge one. Again, we do biomechanical assessments here at Edge. We are actually the coaches who do them, so we can easily just DM us. We can tell you how to get on the roster and get that scheduled. But just knowing the cues, honestly, start with episode 105. See if those pique some interest and what you can adjust. You can make some really, really great changes just by being body aware.
All right, number 5 is to find the right shoes. So again, this does make a huge difference, because this is the barrier between your body and the ground when all of that impact is happening over and over and over again. So you want shoes that fit your biomechanics and that can help prevent injury, but you also probably want different shoes for different types of runs if you are serious about your training. We've talked about how to rotate shoes in a past episode. You can check out episode 189 for how long do running shoes last, where we talk about all of the things about rotating running shoes in to help you with your training.
My soapbox for running shoes goes like this. Buying a new pair that feel good or have a specific purpose does not actually cost you more money, because what you're doing then is you're rotating through, as long as you're tracking, right? And you're able to leverage certain shoes for certain runs, which is going to maximize your training, reduce risk of injury, and overall your shoes are actually going to last longer because you're not just beating them up over and over and over. So make that investment now. Make sure it's the right shoe for you, right? And I promise it will not only avoid injury, but really kind of amplify your current training. So to recap, the top 5 ways to avoid injury. 1, put strength training into your training schedule 2 to 3 times a week.
Number 2 is to incorporate plyometrics. Start small. You don't need a lot for this to be effective.
Number 3, be consistent with mobility work. Again, 5 minutes a day is way better than once a week for 20 minutes.
Number 4 is to focus on your running form. This is the one space that you can make a huge investment to keep injuries away.
And last but not least, number 5 is to find the right shoes, plural, use them strategically, and know when they're done. Last but not least, remember, you do not need to be injured to be considered a real runner. If you're doing it right, you avoid it altogether. Till next time.
Thanks for listening to Coach Quip, original music performed by Ment. Follow us online on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Edge Athlete Lounge. Our podcast lives in the blog section of our website. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast, and you can check out the show notes for additional ways to contact us. Ready, set, onward we go.